Um, Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I know I said I was going to do a podcast every 2 weeks, and then now it's like 3, 4 weeks. I got sick, like really bad. I had to get on an inhaler, antibiotics. This infection fucked me up. Um, but I'm back for about like a week and a half now. I've been working out, and as you can tell, I am not in my limo. We are still trying to figure out a place to record the podcast. Sometimes I'll have a guest, but now this is two in a row where it's just going to be me. Um, and I'm doing this again because after going on all these big podcasts, I just assumed that I would just keep going on podcasts, and then I wouldn't have to say the same beginning story over and over, and then I can just be me and speak beyond the beginning of the story. But that's not really been the case. So then now I'm taking it on my own hands. Um, so one of the first things that I wanted to address is active duty guys going to school. We we have to go to school because it buys us time. It gives us money. Um, and I heard it when I was active duty. You had platoon sergeants or team leaders or whatever being like, "Hey, you're gonna want to go back in the military within the first 6 months to a year getting out," and that does happen. But I'm telling you, if you get out and you go to school, you will make BH of an E5. You have FAFSA. I know veterans that would go. There's so much money out there for grants, especially if you're a veteran. And I had a buddy write an essay, and he got 5 grand. And then he also went to a dinner, a networking event, right, for 5 grand. You can then study something. And some people might say, I don't want to go to college because it's like super woke and I've seen all this stuff. If you go to school for like gender studies, psychology, yeah, you're probably going to be kind of deep into that world. But there are certain degrees that there's basically none of that is in there, right? You like finance, science, like there was no woke anything in my biochemistry class, in my microbiology class, in my human anatomy class, in my college algebra, in history. In where I did find some stuff is you have to take some classes, and like kind of in the psychology class there was a little bit of that. Um, but you can go there for something, and it buys you time to figure out what you want to do, right? You can go to school, learn. With every semester I learned a lot about myself, the world, and the military taught me a lot, but college also did too. And it was to sit down, grind it out. This wasn't like going to ranger school or airborne school where it's mostly physical. Yes, it is mental to pass a class, but like performance wise, now all I really had to do was sit down, and study. And there's nothing wrong with getting smarter. And I wish more active duty guys did that and got out without being fearful. I wish more veterans did that. I was talking to a veteran that lives kind of by my aunt's house, and we were talking. I'm like, "Hey, man," and he was telling me how things are maybe not that great. But I remember just telling him, "Hey, go to school, man. It'll buy you time. It'll give you money because like." You get out and you kind of do like this little side job, and there's nothing wrong with doing a side job, but you, why do a side job when you can go to school, get a degree, get paid? And guys, I tell the guys like I went to school to be a registered dietitian. I'm actually going back to school, and in my class for nutrition, right? Like it's like 95% women. So if you are tired of being around dudes in the military, you're like, I want to go out, go to college. Hey, maybe find somebody that I can connect with, and now I did the military thing. Now maybe I can find someone, have a serious relationship. Because let's be honest, a lot of girls think it's cute to be with the military guy, but then once they are with them, they're like, oh man, like this dude, especially depending on what kind of job you have. Damn, this dude's gone all the time. I rarely get to see him. And when he is stateside, he's at some school or some military exercise, and like I don't really get to see them. Um, and then those relationships kind of end, right? So, but now go to college, find someone, um, and I just wish more veterans did that because like it bums me the fuck out to see a lot of dudes lost, and ladies too that were prior service. Which is why I've been doing what I've been doing for the last 10 years. I went to school, and while I was going to school, I started OG Pumpkin, my company. And what people don't know, they're like, "Oh, you have OG Pumpkin, like this clothing brand," but like what is it? And for the people that don't know, like I was hosting veteran events at my house. I was buying the pizza and the beer and I would invite veterans from my school and my martial arts gym. And I did that for a while, but then my wife got pregnant, and she was like, "Hey, we got a third kid coming. We can't keep doing this. Like we keep going negative into our account or barely making rent. I know these events mean a lot to you and the veterans, but like we can't keep doing this. It's not sustainable." And she was right. But I had this sense of purpose. It feels good to do things for other people, not to mention the people who have helped me the most in my life. When I've asked them what can I do for them, they didn't want money. They didn't want anything from me. Some of the people closest to me, all they really ever said was like, just pay it forward, just help out when you can. And that's obviously been with me. I joined in '08 and got out in 2016, so like these people are still have a serious impact in my life. um so that's why I was doing that, because it feels good, and I feel like I owe that to those people who've helped me so much. So then I started OG Pumpkin. I'm like, all right, I already have a following because I have all this dope combat footage. Um, and let me see if I can just make stickers. So then my son drew the pumpkin, and I made 200 stickers. And then my wife and I were shipping them out to everywhere there's a military base, and there's bases all over the world. So, either a deployment, area, Iraq, Afghanistan, or they were being shipped to Italy, Germany, um, all over the U.S. I have a map in my house where all my kids get to see every state in the U.S. and then every country where it's been, and we have all the states of the U.S. are got an orange, pin. Um, you got like Italy, Australia, Poland, Brazil, Mexico, Canada, and all these other countries. So I did that because it bummed me out to see so many people kind of lost. Like it's kind of weird, isn't it? Like the men and women of this country can join the military, do great things, but when they come out, so many of them are just a fraction of what they used to be. Um, and that's like the answer we're all trying to figure out. I've always told people I think it's a sense of purpose and community, because I remember thinking when I got out, even the dude who kind of annoyed me in my unit, I even missed that fucker. So we need to find our community when we get out, whatever that might look like. It was easy for me because I was competing in Muay Thai as an active duty ranger. So then I just found a gym. I already had a gym ready. I started training and started competing, so they kind of became my community. They still are, and I'm actually still training at those gyms. And then I went to school and made some friends there. And my purpose it wasn't the military anymore. It just happened to be doing the events, and then realizing like, hey, I think this is like my purpose, because I feel really good. So go to school, guys. Go to school. It'll buy you time. It'll give you money. You only get paid when you go to school, so you got to save some of that money. I saw so many veterans ball. They were balling out because you get E5 pay, and some dudes would like live together, so they a lot of that money got saved from the GI Bill or the VNRE, and then they also had 100% disability, and then you had FAFSA, and then you had grants. So it's like they were making so much money and getting tattoos and getting a car and clothes, and spring break's coming, let's go to Vegas. But then when you're not going to school, you're not getting paid, and that's very important, especially if you have that big summer break. And when you go to school, it's not like they pay you the first day you go to school. You got to go to school for that month, and then you get paid. So You got to save some of that money. If not, next thing you know, you're like, damn it, I got to find a job for the summer. I'm struggling, whatever. Go to school. It'll buy you time. And you're like, I don't know what to go to school for. Kinesiology is great. Registered dietitian. I'm a big proponent of stuff that you can still use, even if you don't have any idea, like stuff that you can use, like kinesiology, like registered dietitian, like nutrition. You're talking about health, and that whether you're like, hey, I don't want to be a coach, I don't want to have clients, I don't want to do any. That's fine, but you can apply that to yourself, and to those around you. If you have a family, your kids, your wife, or just if you're not married, you don't have kids, well, to your family and friends. So try that, right? I really want to do this more often, and I am going to do it. Obviously, it's not a good look when I say, hey, I'm going to do this every 2 weeks, and then I don't do it. Well, it's because, again, I got sick, and I just don't have that great of an immune system. Because my wife was taking care of me, and she had like the sniffles for like half a day. Meanwhile, I was fucking dying. Having to go to urgent care, and then the emergency room, and it's funny. I was telling her, I feel like it's not fair, right? I'm supposed to be the former Army Ranger guy, and meanwhile, I'm over here dying while you're just brushing it off, which is hilarious. But today I am here at Project N1. John's always been good to me, so we're recording in here. We will find a place to record permanently. I don't know where, I don't know when, but we will figure it out. But meanwhile, we will find a place to record, whether it's here, Project N1, or my limo, or anywhere. We are about to have a huge day coming up for the country, right? We are about to celebrate 250 years of this country. And honestly, I don't think we're going to make another 250 years, because the way we're going as a country, there's no way. I don't see how we do it, because I feel like everyone is so hyped to celebrate 250 years, and as they should be, but they are not looking internally. Like I've come to learn that it is easier to wear a shirt with a U.S. flag on it, or have a flag emblem on your truck, have the red, white, and blue shorts, have a patriotic tattoo. It is easier to do all that stuff than to actually do things every single day that make this country physically and mentally healthier, stronger, and more united. And I look at what the vast majority of people are doing in this country, when we're not going to make it. We're not going to make it 250 years. And the numbers, another 250 years. And the numbers are on my side, right? We're talking divorce rate, and it's higher in the military. I'm not law enforcement. I would assume it's just as high in law enforcement. We're talking about 40%, right? One of the main reasons for that, lack of communication. When I was going to school in the beginning to be a registered dietitian back in 2016, I remember reading something about 40 to 50% of Americans are overweight or obese. Now, from 2016 till 2026, do you think that number's gone up or down? It's gone up. Now we're talking almost 70%, right? And some of the reasons: diet, nutrition, lack of physical activity. Again, back then it was 1 out of 4 kids. Now you're talking 33% of kids, teenagers, are overweight, obese. Why? Diet, lack of physical activity. Kids and teenagers, average screen time, you're talking about 5 to 8 hours a day. Adults, 7 hours a day. 1 to 5% of Americans actually practice martial arts. And martial arts is why do I bring that up? Because in this country, even though we have, we're very proud gun owners and all this and that, you're more likely to be in a physical altercation than a gunfight. And the people who do have guns, which you're talking about a third of Americans, um, there are millions of people out there with guns, very few train. And the ones that do go out there and they think they're training, you don't know what you don't know. They're not training. I'm at the range all the time, and I see, and it's a waste of ammo because you go out there to the range with no plan, and you're just shooting, um, and you have no curriculum. And I'm not saying there's no, like, you can't just go out there, get some fruit, or, like a watermelon or a pumpkin, and you shoot things and have fun. I'm not saying every single day needs to be this. Okay, this is our curriculum. We're gonna do this. No, no, no. You can have fun, be responsible, but you know, most people don't train. And one more thing is, how many times does a family actually sit down to eat in this country? And I don't see us making another 250 years. Everyone has their spot in society. We need doctors, we need lawyers, we need mechanics, we need artists, we need, nurses. But as men in this country, we're about to celebrate 250 years. And for the men who feel, and then insert whatever word is your go-to word, wolf, alpha male, top dog, protector, warrior, these numbers are on my side when I say, hey, we're about to celebrate that a couple years ago, dudes said enough is enough, grabbed muskets and fought. Does it look like we can fight? Our warrior class, our alpha male, most dudes who think they're alpha males don't own firearms or practice martial arts. And if they do practice martial arts, they don't own guns. And if they do own guns, they don't practice martial arts. In this country, you're more likely to be in a physical altercation than a gunfight. And then if you have guns, well, guess what? Not everything's a gunfight. You can't just shoot your way around everything. That's not how that works. Somebody cuts you off or flips you off. Like you can't just do that, right? And the people who, let's say, are martial artists, do the range thing and all that. If you're fathers, I have to say it, man. We are failing. We're failing. And then the numbers are on my side. Average kid screen time, 5 to 8 hours a day, right? So specifically for the warrior class, the dudes who are parents, ask yourself, how many hours does my kid have? I've seen so many dudes, because I've been in the martial arts world since 2010. I've been in the military 2A world since I was a gang member, but let's just, when I entered the military, 08, right? And I've seen it all. The dudes who are some of the best, they're the best because they spend so much time, to the point where they don't spend the time with their kids. How can you be in crazy shape, but your kid's overweight or obese? How can you be a great martial artist, but your kid doesn't eat fruits and vegetables? How can you be this crazy dude running the gun and winning these comps, these matches, and being sponsored and this and that, but your son isn't even as disciplined as you? And I see it. I see the guys who compete and the killers on the mats, and I'm like, bro, but you have kids. Like, you don't spend time with your kids. And the dudes who are always on the range and they're doing content, shooting day and night, I'm like, bro, you don't spend time with your kids. And I know this because I see it. And I spend time with my kids. It's been a sacrifice at times, but like that is my job. I'm a dad. My job is to put all my time and energy, and so my kids are better than me. Earlier, I made a video and I posted, and I said my kids. I was like, hey, this is for who's my favorite. It was just a joke, but I had them pull up their grades, and they all have A's. My two oldest have A's, right? My youngest is in first grade. So my 14-year-old and 12-year-old, they pull up their grades. They all have A's. I wake them up at 5 in the morning on a school day to go do strength and conditioning. They have also, on top of that, one's in drama, one plays the saxophone. They do jujitsu every now and they do a lot of volunteer time through OG Pumpkin. I've had my kids do volunteer work, help me out, so they understand what volunteer work is and why we do it. And for years, I've talked to them, and they don't understand a lot of things that I've been saying, but now they're starting to get it. And I've been speaking to them like adults since they were little. And I put all that time and energy. My job is for them to be better than me. And I tell them all the time, look, you guys are way stronger, faster, and smarter than me when I was your age, like by a lot. By a lot. And if you really cared about this country, you should think, how do we make it physically and mentally stronger, healthier, more united? We would need less also losers. And I'm not talking, and maybe losers isn't the right word, but like people who aren't doing that great, we should help them out. And I've been doing community work for a long time in the veteran world and the low income world. And there's some people that just are not gonna, no amount of money or time is gonna make them change. They think they want help, but they don't. I'm not talking about those people. I'm talking about the people that just need a little help, a little guidance, a little push. And there's a difference between, hey, we have to do it versus we should. And I think we should. And if we have the resources, we should do it. I'm not saying welfare state or any of that BS. I don't feel like in this country, there's like two sides, and you can't be in the middle, or you can't be a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Like you have to be one or the other. And that's not the case. And I feel like vast majority of people aren't like that. But the loudest are the ones who make it seem like you're either here or here. I remember when 9/11 happened and I wanted to go fight, and I felt bad because I couldn't go fight because I was in 6th grade, and the country who had helped my brothers and sisters and I was in trouble. And I saw it as an opportunity or chance to help the country that's done so much for me. Because I'm the first one in my family to be born here. And my dad was never had a U.S. flag hanging at the house. He never said, hey, wear your red, white, and blue on 4th of July. He never walked around with U.S. flag shorts. He never did any of that growing up. You know what he would tell me every single day? It felt like how lucky I was to be born here. How special this land is. How we have the opportunity here more than anywhere in the world to do something with our lives. And that's it. I would be at dinner and my uncles would be like, you have no idea how lucky you are to be born here. This is special. A special place. So when 9/11 happens, I'm like, hey, this is somebody's attacking it, and whether obviously we have the conspiracy theories and then what actually did happen and all this and that. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about, hey, this country at that time my mom had signed up for food stamps. So we would get government cheese and milk, and sometimes that was the only time we would get any nutrient dense food. And my mom would sign up for these benefits that we had as kids that were below a certain line of income. And I remember thinking, like, this country's in trouble. Let me go help it. I didn't think I was going to make the war. I made the war. And part of the reason that I joined was because, hey, this is my opportunity to pay back all that food the government gave me, the clothes, the backpack, the free lunches at school, like, to protect this. Right? I know some people take advantage of the system, but just because some people take advantage of it does not mean that we should not have that. It's like I've done, since I started OG Pumpkin, I stopped tracking the money, but when I did track it, I was over $250,000 given away, not through a nonprofit, because I don't even have a nonprofit. I would just give the money to the veteran community in shooting events, in therapy, in cookouts, in buy gear for high school kids and college kids to go train for selection, because backpacks and actual military boots are expensive. And especially the shooting events where I buy vehicles, 2 or 3, and we shoot in and around them, and I buy a taco guy, and we have a band, and we have giveaways and all this and that. There have been people who take advantage of it, who are too cool for everyone else, and they take pictures and they post like, hey, look at me, this is my life. And what? Because some people abuse the system, should I not care about the veterans anymore? Should I be like, you know what, look at these people taking advantage of it. They don't tag the company that helped this event. They don't do A, B, and C. They just come and take. So I should not do it. And I can't look at it like that, because I have to understand, and it doesn't feel good when I'm seeing it firsthand. It doesn't feel good when people take advantage of it. But you know what? It's worth it. It's worth it for when dudes come up to me and they're like, hey man, you have no idea how much this means to me. And I tell them, bro, I do know, because this means a lot to me too. Or when I see them and they're not even like, they become friends and they're not even hanging out with me, I see them hanging out or working together with business or doing something. And it's like, the events are working, and they have been working. They've been working so much. This is why the company OG Pumpkin has over 800 tattoos all over the freaking world. In the medical field, in the special operations world, Marines, Navy, Air Force, law enforcement, like, people see the time and commitment I've done, right? And people have abused it, and they probably will, but because I can, I will. And I feel like if you cared about this country, you would think, okay, we need less people at the bottom. We got to help each other out. How can I help? And maybe it's not even financially. Maybe it's just your time. Go talk to a veteran. Go talk to, some troublemakers. Go do something for your community. Because I love this country. I got a U.S. flag tattooed on me. I've fought for this country. But I honestly, I'm super proud of my military service. But I feel like what I've done after the service, I think it's actually more impactful. Coming back and doing 10 years now of community work for veterans at the low income community. I've spoken to thousands. I used to say hundreds. Now it's thousands of gang members, former gang members, and you can cause trouble and all this and that and not even actually be in the gang, but people who are in that world. And I've helped so many. They'll message me and they'll be like, and I'll see the conversation that we had like a year ago, 2 years ago, and it's like, boom, now I'm in the military, now I'm a cop, now I have my own construction company, or I've helped over 30 people join the special operations community. It's like, for free, by the way. It's like community work, all this and that. I feel like that has helped this country more than my military service. I mean, altogether, I feel like, I have shown that I love this country. And because I love this country, I say the things that I say. And I bring up the story all the time with my buddy. He was my Ranger buddy at school, and I dropped a class because I was like, hey, I'm already taking chemistry, microbiology, and all this and that. Like, it's a hard semester. And if you're a full-time student, you get the full pay benefits. And I'm like, you know what? I'll be a 3/4 student, and I won't get paid the whole amount. These classes are hard. And he calls me because my friend had told him that I had dropped the class, and he's hearing me out why I dropped the class. And then afterwards, he's like, you're being lazy. Stop being a bitch. You're being lazy. And then I keep going on how, no, the class is hard because of this and that. And then he just hears me out, and then he goes, you're being lazy. And I'm like, I was like, all right, I'll sign up for the class. And guess what? I had A's at the end of the semester. And that is a very valuable friend. He's still my friend. And just how he told me something that I didn't want to hear at the time, but it benefited me, that's the main purpose of right now. It's not to shit on the country. It's not to shit on anybody. It is like holding us accountable. At the rate that we're going, can anybody honestly say, hey, we're for sure we're gonna make it another 250 years of this great country? No, no, because so many people are divided. So many people believe this 30-second video or meme versus what the world actually is and can be. Um, and it's scary because I got kids and I want this country to be still going, right? And your kids are here. I want it to be going for them. Like, I want it to be better, just like how my kids are better than me right now. When I was their age, I want this country to be better for our kids. And some people might not care. They'd be like, bro, I don't care. I don't care about my kids, or I don't even have kids. I don't care about you. I don't care, whatever. I just want to be angry. I just want to be mad. I just be whatever. Most people aren't doing the right thing. They don't have extreme accountability. And there is a difference between being, hey, bro, you're kind of crazy, bro. Like, this is way too much. Versus like, no, man, it's just the standard is so low that doing what you're supposed to seems crazy. Like, I get props for how hard I work with, to raise my kids. I don't think it's a big deal. I think that's what we're supposed to do. But because the standards are so low, it looks like I'm doing something crazy. It's like in the special operations community, man, you make it out there because you are extreme and you push yourself to levels that most professional athletes sometimes do it, because even professional athletes are kind of babied. You push yourself so high and you see that, like, that's extreme. Doing what I do for my community, I don't think that's extreme. Doing what I do for my kids, I don't think that's extreme. I just think the standard is just so low. And I mean, come on, the data that I said earlier, some of the numbers and percentages might be a little bit off, but come on, what are we doing, right? And I'm not even like a doom and gloom guy. I've always been, hey, the cup is half full type of guy, because you have to be. Coming from what I did, growing up, being physically and mentally abused, being poor, getting made fun of at school for not, having new clothes and not being able to read and write, English that well, and then being gangs and then get out of it, to say, hey, I can do something more with my life. I'm not this thing that people have been telling me that I am. You have to be, the cup is kind of full, half full. And then being a conventional guy and saying, hey, I want to be in the special operations community, and then having my actual team leaders and squad leader right next to my squad members laughing at me, and then having the whole company laugh at me, and then even when I try to drop a packet and all this and that, do almost everything impossible to stop me from training and even completing the packet. You have to be the cup is half full guy. To then making it into the special operations community, to being in these crazy deployments where I'm dealing with multiple suicide bombers, literally touching multiple IEDs with my bare hands, being in so many firefights that I used to watch the documentary Restrepo, and I used to think like, damn, bro, that is extreme. That is crazy. And there was moments in that deployment where I remember then afterwards being like, Restrepo looked like a walk in the park. And the dudes who I deployed with have been on Sean Ryan's podcast, have been on TED Talks, have written books. They've done all this crazy shit. So when I get out and I share my combat footage, I thought it was normal. I thought everybody was dealing with multiple suicide bombers, snipers, mortar attacks, multiple gunfights, IEDs. Like, I thought everybody was doing that. I didn't think it was unique. I thought, yes, everyone's pulling bombs out of the ground with their bare hands. Everyone's washing brains off Humvees. Everyone is seeing dead bodies everywhere. Yes, this is what everybody's doing. Um, I don't even know how I got to this, but anyways, I love this country, and that's why I say the things that I say. I hope most people aren't doing the right thing. They're not. I hope this hits with some. Most it's not, because based off the data, we're not even in the right path as a country. But we can be. So I am half the cup is half full, and then even getting out, right? And you hear about all these horror stories about veterans killing themselves and all this and that, and you have, and then me being to the point where I'm sleeping in a futon, about to get divorced. My wife, who's my best friend, is not even talking to me anymore, and then climbing out of that gigantic hole to having my family, having a healthy marriage. Now we're about to hit 16 years married. 16, 19. Oh my God. Anyways, it's, you have to be the cup is half full type of guy, right? Um, and people ask me, the DM me like, hey, what should I do? What can we do? Whatever. I've been showing you. I've been doing it. What do you do? People who don't like what's going on. This exercise, this right to, and then actually train, right? Hit the books. Be smarter. Be healthier. There's nothing wrong with making posts and videos or protesting or whatever. All that stuff is good. But we need to be physically, mentally stronger and healthier. We need to exercise our right to speak out, our right to train and have own things. And I would say I'm a big believer that we have more in common than we don't. I remember being in Afghanistan, in the mountains of Afghanistan, and fighting next to dudes who grew up rich, who grew up poor, who had degrees, no college degrees, were Catholic, Christians, Muslims, atheists, everything. And none of that mattered. None of it mattered. We were just trying to survive and be there for each other. And what else can you do? And will we become friends and all this and that? And all the other, none of that stuff mattered until we came back. And then some of those people I deployed with have got caught up in all that madness, and they need to remember back to like how simple it was. And we have more in common than, if not, we are. I in movies, and people would say this country or that country is the problem, or they're trying to end us. I honestly think that the only way this country ends is by us, by our own hand. Obviously, you would have other outside influencers kind of shoving. That doesn't help. Um, but we're gonna have more events come out. I don't argue online, so I might respond if I think someone's trying to have a conversation. But like text messages, like writing, is the worst. One of the worst ways to communicate. So if you want to talk about something, find me in person. Um, I think we're gonna be all right. I think we got a lot of work to do, but I think we're gonna be all right. At least I hope so. At least that's what I think. We are gonna have different courses because I feel I've said that martial artists are some of the best students because they hands down have been. Um, and there's a lot of correlations between the martial arts world and the whatever you want to call it, like firearms world. And because I don't want to say tactical world, because then other people hear that and they think they're not part of it because they weren't in the service or are serving or in law enforcement or whatever, or like the firearms world. There's correlations, and in the martial arts world, there have been advances thanks to the UFC, right? Like competitions, especially UFC and all the other organizations. and that martial arts world has like evolved. Think about how the martial artists looked the best, right? The champions like 10 years ago, 15 years ago. Like, it's different. The game has changed. It's improved. Ours is not improving as fast, but it is. So you're either going to get left behind, or or then you're going to play catch up, or you're part of the evolution, the development, whatever word you want to use of and I want it to push. I want us to be better. Like, I want everybody to be better. But we got to do it together. And I know how toxic this community can be. But I think there's enough of us that mean well. 2 weeks from now, or you know what? Maybe I should do. Maybe just because I owe you guys another one. Maybe I should just do next week. I'll do another one. Leave in the comments. What do you want to hear? What do you want to talk about, or whatever? Because if not, I'm just gonna do like today. Whatever's just on my mind. Guess I'm not really like trying to get guess, but like when something cool comes, yo, let's do it. I'm not gonna say things to go viral. I'm like on purpose, and people have told me like, hey, you should say this or like do that, and it's like, no. If I'm gonna say something, it's because I mean it, and I'm trying for the actual outcome to be good, not because I want to piss off somebody and get clicks and get views and get whatever, or So I'll see you guys on the range, the mats, or the gym. Big dog. Amigo. John. Am I alone? Oh, what's up? I'm done. I didn't stop anything. I did anything.
Oh, that was quick.
How long was that?
I feel like it was only 30 minutes.
Hey, short and sweet. I got scared. I'm not gonna lie for a second there.
Why?
Cause I yelled. I walked all the way over there. I was like, John, I'm done. I was like, yo, big dog.
Oh, I did not hear you at all.
And I was like, am I alone here?
Back. That was